colorful tail. Rex, a fluffy-tailed border collie mix, was always getting himself into some sort of mischief. As he sniffed about the winding alleys of the city, his tail wagged excitedly, knocking over boxes and scattering rubbish every which way. But on this particular sunny morning, Rex's curiosity led him to a discovery that would change the course of his day in the most peculiar way. As Rex bounded down a narrow back street, he passed by an open doorway, unaware that his furry tail had dipped right into a can of glowing, shimmering paint. The paint coated the tip of his tail, but he continued on his way, oblivious to the bright, luminescent trail marking his path. Soon Rex arrived at a small, cobbled square, bustling with city dwellers going about their morning business. Delighted by all the sights and sounds, Rex began wagging his tail again. Suddenly, a shopkeeper looked up to see a streak of light dancing across the side of a building. "What in the world?" he muttered, adjusting his glasses. More people stopped to stare as Rex continued wagging, leaving shining swirls and loops with each flick of his tail. A few children giggled and chased the glittery shapes forming on the walls. "It's magic," one shouted, but the adults were less amused. "Is this some kind of prank?" grumbled a man trimming flowers outside his shop. Rex paused, noticing the glowing patterns for the first time. He tilted his head, intrigued. Could his tail really be making these shapes? He gave it an enthusiastic wag, and sure enough, a brilliant swoosh appeared on the wall beside him. Delighted, Rex began to run about, swishing his tail deliberately now, creating colorful squiggles and swirls everywhere he went. Soon people were scrambling to get out of the way of the sparkling designs sweeping across the square. A vegetable stand was appended as the vendor fled from an oncoming loop. "My cabbages!" he cried. Children screamed gleefully as birds and butterflies emerged from the painted shapes, scattering feathers and flower petals in their wake. From the corner of the square, an elderly artist watched the scene unfolding with great interest. "Well now, I never thought I'd see that paint again," he murmured, a twinkle in his eye. Many years ago, when he was but a novice, the old artist had discovered that same glowing paint, hidden away in the city's underground tunnels. He knew well the chaos and wonder it could create. As Rex painted swirling birds across the cobblestones, the old artist approached him. "You found something very special, my friend," he said. "But you must be careful, for it has a power you can't yet understand." Rex tilted his head curiously. But before the artist could explain further, an authoritative voice shouted, "Stop right there." Rex turned to see two uniformed officials marching toward him, grim-faced and serious. "No more funny business," one yelled. Rex crouched, ears flattened. As the officials advanced, Rex sprang up and dashed away, his tail streaking radiant colors across the walls of the narrow alley into which he fled. After him, the officials shouted, giving chase. Rex sprinted down the back streets and side lanes he knew so well, the officials close behind despite his every zig and zag. As he turned a corner, he skidded to a halt, finding himself at a dead end. Thinking fast, Rex faced the tall brick wall blocking his path, wagging his tail furiously. A vibrant mural began blossoming across the wall's surface. The city's skyline emerged, colorful and alive, towered over by a shining sun. The officials pursuing Rex slowed as they turned the corner. For a moment, they simply stared open-mouthed at the magnificent mural. Even the painted sun itself seemed to glimmer and glow, its rays illuminating the imaginary cityscape. But remembering their task, the officials shook their heads and started toward Rex once more. Backed against the wall, Rex knew he was trapped. But gazing up at the dazzling mural, inspiration struck. If his tail could create living art everywhere else, why not here too? Boldly, Rex swished his tail, forming the shape of a splendid arched doorway right in the center of the brick wall. The painted door shimmered, then slowly opened, revealing a dark entryway leading somewhere. Without hesitation, Rex leapt through the open door, just as the officials reached for him. "Wait, stop," they cried, but too late. Rex had vanished, and the shining door slammed shut right in their faces. The officials could only stare at the mural in shock and dismay. Stepping through the shimmering doorway, Rex found himself not in another city alley, but in a vibrant, surreal landscape beyond anything he could have imagined. Floating islands dotted the prismatic skies as strange creatures soared by. "Whoa, Rex exhaled, awestruck by the alien beauty surrounding him. This was no normal world. It seemed to be a realm born from pure imagination. Rex took a few curious steps along a winding path, observing his surroundings with wide eyes. He wondered if this world might respond to his artistic talents like the city walls and pavements had. Spotting a small tree, Rex swung his tail, willing it to grow taller. But instead of stretching upward, the tree sprouted sideways, its branches twisting into peculiar shapes. Rex tilted his head, puzzled by the uncontrolled growth. He tried again on another tree, but this time it only shrank down until it was no larger than a sapling. It soon became clear that this world did not obey Rex's intentions as easily as the city did. The lands here had a will of their own. As Rex ventured deeper, the scenery around him shifted in unexpected ways. Stones floated through the air, forming abstract shapes. The dirt path underfoot changed direction spontaneously, forcing Rex to adjust his route. It was a realm of whimsy, but also uncertainty. Rounding a corner, Rex spotted a small bluebird perched on a branch up ahead. He crept toward it slowly so as not to startle it. But just before Rex could get close enough for a better look, the bird transformed in a swirl of light. Where the bluebird had been now fluttered a brightly colored butterfly. "Oh, that's not something you see every day," Rex murmured. Even the creatures weren't what they seemed here. As he wandered farther in, the terrain grew rocky and steep. Rex scrambled over the unstable footing until the path opened up on a large clearing. There stood a towering, reptilian creature that Rex instantly recognized. It was the friendly purple dragon he had painted back in the city square earlier that day. But now it had grown immense, its scales shimmering darkly, eyes glowing menacingly. Rex approached cautiously. "It's me. I'm the one who painted you," he called. But the dragon only rumbled, small spurts of flame shooting from its nostrils. It clearly didn't recognize Rex. Thinking quickly, he picked up a stick and began to sketch shapes in the dirt, a simplification of his face, with a wagging tail to get the message across. The dragon eyed him warily, then let out a threatening growl. This was not going well. Suddenly, the dragon reared back and released a jet of flame into the sky. Rex turned tail and sprinted away, the dragon stomping after him. Plunging through dense underbrush and around sharp bends, Rex barely managed to keep ahead of the pursuing beast. But the dragon was stubborn, and the landscapes kept morphing in disorienting ways underfoot. After making it across a ravine on a bridge that crumbled away just as he passed, Rex finally lost the angry dragon. He paused to catch his breath. As the adrenaline wore off, though, Rex noticed something disturbing. The once bright colors of this realm were slowly leaching away, leaving only grayscale behind. The floating islands had vanished from the now monotone sky. Cracks split the ground, spreading quickly like fractures in ice. This world was breaking apart. Rex quickened his pace, his sense of urgency growing. The doorway back home had been right around here somewhere. If only he could find it again before this whole realm fell into nothingness. But when he reached the spot, Rex found only flickering remnants of light with no substance. The doorway was fading out, the gateway back collapsing. Frantically, Rex began to draw another magic door on a nearby tree trunk, just as he had back in the city. But the lines appeared dull and lifeless. "Come on," Rex muttered, putting his whole body into each desperate swing of the tail. A barely visible outline began to take shape but quickly sputtered out again. There would be no escape through artistry here. With the world crumbling around him, Rex sank to the ground in despair. But then his eyes blazed with determination. If this realm came from his own imagination, maybe he could fix it the same way. Rex screwed his eyes shut and envisioned a bright blue door surrounded by flowers and vines. He imagined the feel of the golden doorknob beneath his paw as he turned it, smelled the fresh air as the doorway opened onto a sunny field. When Rex opened his eyes again, there stood a doorway just as he pictured, his one chance at salvation. With an ecstatic yelp, Rex leapt through just as the ground cracked open behind him into infinite blackness.